Hello everybody and welcome back to Connor here. Hope you're doing really well, and we are back here with something a little bit different. It is your late night, your Leeds late night, and it's something that I wanted to bring for a while now, and it's something that I'm going to be keeping up. I want to go on about separate, different episodes and stuff like this. I want to talk about Bielsa. I want to talk about tactics going to the Premier League. I want to talk about everything, yeah. And I don't want to talk about the guys. This is not going to be about transfers. We're doing the rumour mill every morning. If you want to tune into that, please tune in. But listen, we're just going to cool off the transfers and we're going to respect everything that is Marcelo Bielsa. And we're going to be going on that trajectory on this call. So if you are new to the channel, hello, welcome. My name is Connor. Please slap a like on the video and subscribe, of course. And let's get into it. So I've split it up into categories that I wanted to speak about with regards to Bielsa. Now, it's 12 separate categories that I wanted to talk about. And the first one that's going to be interesting getting into the Premier League is, of course, going to be Bielsa's bucket. Now, Bielsa's bucket is something that is something that is ingrained into Bielsa, and it's something that we all know with regards to Bielsa, and it's very funny. I find it hilarious. I find it hilarious. I've got it at the club shop, and here he is right now. This is Bielsa, obviously, just on his bucket. And is this going to carry on in the Premier League? That's going to be my interesting sort of point towards it, because obviously with regards to the bucket, obviously the dugout now has to be changed into sort of those sofa Premier League seats. So is it going to be completely changed for Marcelo? Is he going to have to sit down? Are there going to be more restrictions in the Premier League? I've got a feeling there might be. Obviously at Marseille, it was slightly different, but that is Ligue 1. And I don't know whether or not that's going to have to continue in the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see. But look at that. That doesn't really look like a bucket, does it? It looks more like sort of an ice cooler. But as you can see here at Bilbao, with there's God there and Marcelo and actually it's the other way around, isn't it? It's God and Pep. But yeah. Listen, he's always hunched on his knees, and that's something that we need to bear in mind. These are sort of 12 funny things that we need to bear in mind, but that is something I've been thinking about for ages, been talking about with my dad. Do you reckon he'll be having the bucket? Do you reckon he won't be having the bucket? Do you reckon he's going to be sat in the dugout? Have we ever seen Bielsa sat in the dugout during a game? Get your comments in the section below. I don't really know if we have. And as John B says, it is a very comfortable bucket. I'd probably agree with you, John. I'd probably agree with you. And everybody, hello, welcome. I'm here with a glass of, it's not Argentinian, but I thought I'd just have a glass of white wine. I don't really drink white. I drink red. I am a cultured Argentinian, of course. So yeah, cheers to Bielsa. And welcome to all you new subscribers. If you are here, this is going to be my new show every single evening, and that's the interesting point I wanted to bring up as well. The bucket. It's something that is just it transcends with Bielsa. If you see it, I mean, look at this. Just look at this. I mean, how is he getting away with that? How are Leeds getting away with that? I think they were charging 60, 65 quid for that thing. I mean, that's impeccable. That's pure marketing expertise from Angus Kinnear. That's impressive. I mean, look at it. Do you think it looks comfy? I don't know if it looks comfy, but I definitely sit on it. I definitely sit of it. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think he might continue it. Here, once again, he's sat on his water cooler. So I think this is Leeds. I think he started utilising the bucket a lot more at Leeds. So we'll have to wait and see. 80 quid, as Lee says, an absolute bargain. Demographics, absolute bargain. He sits on it more preferable line to the side of the pitch. And I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see why he does it. The reason he does it is so he's literally in line with absolutely everything. I think if they took the bucket away, then what would he have to do? He'd probably just have to kneel down once again, as we can see here with Pep Guardiola when Bilbao played Barcelona. So the next one that I'm looking forward to is Frank Lampard versus Bielsa Part 2. Now, look at this here. I mean, you can tell one man is happy, one man is bitter. Now, you can just tell who that is. Look at the smiley one. Look at the man who despises every managerial lesson that Bielsa taught him in that first season. Obviously, Lampard did get the last laugh, but that is something that I am really excited to see next year. It is Bielsa, Frank Lampard, Part 2, Leeds United against Chelsea, which is one thing I obviously, we're looking forward to anyway, a massive old rivalry. And is everybody else excited for that? I'm absolutely buzzing for that. I'm buzzing for Frank versus Bielsa. We need to it's 3-1. As Ryan Richards says here, the Spygate derby, Jaggy Babs, he's gonna cry. Paul saying, look, no binoculars. And as Reese says, he's very superstitious. He paces 13 steps before turning into the tech area. I've never counted it though. But yeah, this is going to be the big rivalry for me. And as you can see here, look, one smiling, and you just know, even from that old guy's reaction behind, he's thinking, Frank needs to smile a bit more. He's not smiling there, is he? And once again, Bielsa with that lovely angelic face lighting up the stadium there. We don't need floodlights with Bielsa on the pitch, do we? But there we go. And I think that's going to be something that is in Bielsa's mind. I think it is anyway, because it's obviously going to be playing on his mind. 3-1 up Bielsa for me. And we've still got it. We've still got that hoodoo over Frank. We have. Sorry, Frank. But as you can see here, absolutely loving it. Look at that. That's his career made. Having a great time there. But Bielsa, he'll have bookmarked that. He'll have bookmarked it. And he knows exactly what he wants to be getting when he plays Frank Lampard next year. And I think that's something that I'm really, really excited to see. And as Bernie says there, it's going to be awesome to see Orta at Chelsea with binoculars. And yeah, it's going to be, it'd be a really interesting sort of thing, because would Lampard be classy about it? I don't really know. A lot of Chelsea fans seem to think that Leeds are obsessed with Frank Lampard. I don't think we are as a fan base. I think we just we want revenge. We want redemption for what happened. That did scar us, that final, but it doesn't matter now. And as you can see, the papers are already churning it up. I saw that the other day. Chelsea versus Leeds, the derby. And it really is a derby now. It's maybe not a derby, but more of a rivalry. And it's definitely been heated up by the fact that Frank is extremely salty and bitter. And Marcelo Bielsa, who's an angelic Argentinian Malbec drinking individual who we all love. But yeah, guys, that's something that I'm really, really looking forward to with regards to Bielsa, as everybody else. Just sort of giant telescope works for me, says John B. Just stop crying, Frank. Frank Lampard. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting one with regards to Lampard. And it's right what Gary Watson says. It's going to be really exciting to see every game, even if the thing that was released the other day about Leeds playing Newcastle on the first day of the season, even if that is what we're going into. I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for every game. And if you try to get that thing out of your head of just transfers, and you actually look to the season ahead. Obviously, Angus Kinnear came out on the Square Ball, the Extra Ball podcast, and did turn around and say a lot of people are going to be surprised by Pascal Struijk. Now, the last time he was coming into Leeds at the end of the season, I thought he looked really, really good, really calm on the ball, really assured, legs like tree trunks. And I think he's going to be a real good prospect. And Angus Kinnear actually bookmarked him and said, look out for him next season. So I trust the board now, and I'm so excited to go into this season with all the fixtures. I just wish the crowd was there. But, it's going to be there in time, because we're going to build, we're going to be sustainable, and we're going to be a Premier League subject for many, many years to come for me. I might sound arrogant. A lot of you might say I'm entitled, but I think with Marcelo Bielsa, we're not there to make up numbers. We're not there to have free hits, as other clubs coined the phrase. Let's have a free hit this season and sort of become a bit of a yo-yo club. I get that as a sustainability model. I understand that, because that's the way to go to the Premier League. That's the way to earn a lot of money. But I just don't see Leeds making up the numbers. I see Leeds going up there and causing a massive, massive shock. Mark Hedison, Connor, why are you wearing Nike? It's now Adidas or Leeds shirt only. This is actually just a Golden State top. I like it. I like my basketball every now and again. But yeah, let's get on to the number 4, guys, of what I am looking forward to with regards to Leeds. Actually, it's number 3. And my number 3 is being earmarked the underdog. And Marcelo Bielsa, throughout his entire career, has been known as the underdog. He's never had the big jobs. Obviously, you probably take Argentina out of that, but he's never had the big jobs. Even when he was instated as Chile manager, it wasn't like a huge job. Bielsa went in there, completely turned everything around at Chile. Playing that 3-3-1-3 formation, and they did so well. They came on so drastically as a country in football terms, and it was something to behold. I remember Chile. I'm sure a lot of you guys do, when they sort of broke onto the scene. You were like, wow, where have these guys come from? Pushing Argentina and Brazil all the way, all the time in Copa America. Argentina couldn't beat them. for a long period of time. And I think that was because of the ethics, the morals, the technicalities that Marcelo Bielsa instilled within that Chilean national team. So it is something to look at. And he's always been at teams he's never been at the Barcelona. He's never been at the Madrid. He's never been at the Man Cities, the Man United. He's never been at these top clubs. And that's why I think he gets a lot of disrespect. There's a lot of people who start laughing, oh, Bielsa, he's never won anything. Well, let's see if Pep Guardiola was in charge of Espanyol. Obviously, I know he was only there for a short amount of time, as he was with Lazio, but let's see if Pep Guardiola would win titles with these sides. Let's see if you got Jurgen Klopp in charge of a lowerly German side instead of Dortmund. I'm not taking away what Klopp did. Klopp did an unbelievable job to topple Bayern. But what I'm trying to say is Bielsa's on a different trajectory. He doesn't take these jobs of these top teams. Probably, if I was to say that the best club team that he's taken charge of was probably Marseille. And that was when the dominance of PSG was starting. Lyon was still extremely good then. That's probably the team where I can think to myself, club-wise, he's been in charge of, and they've just, they've been a big team in that country, and they've been a big force. Aside from that, he's taken charge of teams that haven't had massive reputations. You look at that Bilbao team, and we'll get onto that in a bit. And I think it'll be really, really interesting in terms of that. Lee Smith, I don't think the underdog tag will last too long. Tyler Howard, Bielsa takes being an underdog as a compliment. And I think as Tyler Howard says there, he also prefers it. And I think it's one of those things what Paul just said. Say, Pep can't even get to a CL final, had 4 years and 1 billion to spend, just saying. And I think it's a really good point. And imagine Bielsa having those spends. I don't think he'd want those spends because I don't think he wants all the focus on him. I think that's naturally Marcelo Bielsa's just way of being in football. But imagine if he had that money. Imagine if he was that individual who was in charge of Real, in charge of Barca. I tell you what's going on at Barca wouldn't be happening under Marcelo Bielsa's tenure. I can tell you that for free. But number 4, guys, that is something that I'm going to get onto a second. But yeah, as you can see here, Marcelo Bielsa has won 6 titles over the course of his managerial career, which I think we can all admit isn't amazing, but it stretches across 30 years. His title successes have been achieved on 2 continents, South America and Europe, and in 2 countries, Argentina and England, obviously one being Leeds United this year. His first title was 1991 Primera Division Apertura. Apologies, Argentinians. I've absolutely murdered that pronunciation with Newell's, which is followed by the Primera Division Clausura in 92. He won the Premier League Clausura again as 98 as charge of Vélez. And this is it. It's like Vélez and Newell's old boys. They're not even the big boys in Argentina. You look at your Bocas, your Rivers. They're not anywhere near, even your Independientes. That's nowhere near the level. So he's consistently been the underdog in his career. You look at when he went to Bilbao, you had Barca, you had Valencia, you had Real Madrid, you had Atletico Madrid. So he's always been the underdog, always. And I think the one time he wasn't probably was on the country scale when it was for Argentina. Best National Coach Award in 2001, South American Coach of the Year 2009, Championship Manager of the Month August 2018, November 2019, and FIFA Play Award 2019, obviously because of that event, with regards to what happened with Villa. Leeds and Bielsa fit so well, style and attitude. And I definitely would completely agree with what you say there. I think we just fit. And it's really going to be interesting. As Gary says, a top coach turns average players into even better players, which Marcelo does. And I don't think there's many coaches around the world who do that anymore. Obviously, I'm not completely degrading Pep Guardiola, but I think Pep Guardiola has had a lot of money to spend. And I would say he's probably failed in terms of the Champions League progression. And I think Bielsa has never had any of those accolades, which, the money, having the sort of expectation to get on a club level to the Champions League final, to win the Champions League. And it'd be really interesting to see if he ever will get that chance. Obviously not when he's at Leeds. But that's something that I've just found really, really interesting. Now, this one is something that we've all been talking about sort of all day. This is the one that I just wanted to bring up. And this is Lionel Messi has reportedly urged the club management to try and lure Marcelo Bielsa away from Leeds United in the summer and ensure that he becomes manager of the club. Now, obviously, Lionel Messi came out today and said that he wants to leave Barcelona. Go on, Leeds. But yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Lionel. But I think the fact that he wants Bielsa there, I think he knows that he could bring everybody together again and bring the philosophy back. The fact that he's in charge of Leeds United, but we've also got to make we've also got to make it known that we are a massive club. We are a big club. We're an attraction for Marcelo Bielsa as well. He loves the romanticism of football, but he will be completely lauded at Leeds, which he is day in, day out. And he likes it here. We're the longest serving club that he's been at right now. So, you know, as you can see here, look at all the publications talking about Marcelo Bielsa and Leeds there. Obviously, it's something that Messi clearly wants. And, you know, look at what Marcelo Bielsa to replace Kike and all this sort of stuff. In shocking move, Messi asked Barcelona board to replace with Bielsa, and it's just really, really interesting. I think, as Joe Madigan says here, Adidas, Bielsa, Messi, Leeds, and I think it's definitely something to look at. I genuinely believe that, and as you can see here, this is going to be my number 4. So number 4, take the preseason friendly out, which we always will do because it doesn't count. But number 4 is Manchester United. Marcelo Bielsa has a 100% record in competitions over Manchester United. A 2-1 win at home for Atletico Bilbao and a 3-2 win at Old Trafford. And we're just going to go through some of what Fergie said. 8 years ago, Manchester United were taught a footballing lesson by Athletic Bilbao in the Europa League. Now, how many times can we say that this year? How many times can we turn around and other clubs can turn around and say, yeah, we got taught a lesson by Leeds. We're absolutely taught a lesson by Leeds. And I think this is something that is clearly been a mantra of his career for such a long time now. It was actually the second school in the Red Devils received after Athletic smashed them 3-2 at Old Trafford a week earlier. They completed the job back at the San Mamés with a 2-1 win. Managed by Marcelo Bielsa, the Lions played a supernatural football and totally overwhelmed Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. Now, this was a very good Manchester United team as well. And it was one of those things where I believe they were knocked out of the Champions League and then they came into the Europa League and faced Bielsa's Athletic Bilbao. And they were completely taken apart. I actually remember watching the game when I was younger. And I remember watching both legs. And you'd never seen Manchester United completely outplayed by that. But the 3-3-1-3 formation overwhelmed them. Fergie was tactically masterclass by Bielsa on both nights. And I think Fergie actually admitted that. When lauding the side, Ferguson hailed their energy. Bilbao's work ethic is fantastic, he said. They worked harder than us, and that's how Bielsa has built his side. He trained them for 3 hours yesterday, and they still put in that effort tonight. It tells you everything. And that's something I wanted to touch on as well. You know, Leeds went out, got drunk, had a great time when we celebrated the title and you know, finishing 10 points, 12 points ahead of third. Leeds then went to Derby and got the best running stats we've ever done. We ran the most kilometre-wise we've ever done in the season. Actually, it was over 2 years for Marcelo Bielsa. We ran more in that Derby game than any other game before. Now, what does that tell you? The levels, the standards that we set as a club, as a team. And I think it is one of those things where we're going to go into the Premier League. We're going to shock a few people. I'm telling you, we are going to shock a hell of a lot of teams. And yeah, as Dino says, Connie, you've made my hair stand up. And yeah, as Ryan says here, they need penalties to win Manchester United. Imagine Bamford smashing it past De Gea. But I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe it is one of those things where Leeds are really going to shock a lot of teams. And it's so obvious as football fans to look at signings. And that's why I do the rumour mill every single morning. And it's so easy to look at signings and think, but just look at where we've got with improving average players to where they are now. We've now got a youth development strategy, which is second to none. You know, obviously we've gone up a tier in the under-23s, and from Angus Kinnear's interview, Marcelo Bielsa spends as much time with the 23s as he does the first team. So blooding all those players. The Leeds United way, by the way, started from the Don Revie days. The Leeds United way, blooding youngsters into the first team. That's always been Leeds' mantra, even through the difficult times in League One, the Championship, Charlie Taylor, Sam Byram, Lewis Cook, Alex Mowat. It's been Leeds United's philosophy and ethic for so many years now. The problem is we had to do that because we didn't have any financial power. But now we're doing it because we have financial power. We can go and improve players. You know, we can get an indoor facility. We can do this. We can bring them into the first team. We can train them in the Bielsa way. We can train them with different formations, different strategies, tactical ways around things. And you see that with Bielsa. You see that with Leeds. And the under-23s are progressing at an absolute abnormal rate. And this is something that we've also got to bear in mind, you know, when looking at transfers. Pascal Struijk, Would you go out and get a second centre-back, as a lot of fans are looking for, or would you keep Pascal Struijk? He was brilliant in those last 2 games. Why not? Angus Kinnear saying he's ready for the step up. Jamie Shackleton, is he ready for it now? You know, Bogus given a 3-year deal. We're all talking about loans out the club, and I even commented on it myself. But Bielsa's done this everywhere he's been, bringing youth through. So I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on in terms of just, you know, the aggression and the pragmatism in terms of Leeds bringing youngsters through and blooding them into the first team. And you've just got to trust the board, guys. You've got to trust them. And I do now. I massively, massively trust them now. So, yeah, it's just one of those things I wanted to touch on as well. You know, everyone's talking about signings here, signings there. I still think we start the season in 2 weeks. We do okay, even with the squad we have now. A lot of you might call me deluded, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, as Fergie said here at the bottom, Ferguson also added that Athletic Bilbao, the highest stats of any team that has played at Old Trafford in the last 10 years in terms of the distance run. That is great credit to the desire of the team, and that's exactly what we just spoke about right then. This is his, I wanted to pull this up as well. This is Bielsa's most favourable teams to play against. As you can see, Peru there, 6-6. But then look at the bottom there. Obviously, we've got the teams from the Championship, which make up the 3 after Peru. But Manchester United, 2 out of 2 wins. And it would be great to get there next season. And, you know, they'll have all the firepower they can. But can they keep up? That's my question. Might have all the firepower you want, and you can pick us off with quality. Of course you can. But if we drag you down, which we have done to so many teams, how are you going to be able to cope with that? How are teams in the Premier League going to be able to cope with our running, our tactical press, our open, expansive football? We're not like, I don't think, any other team that's come into the Premier League at this moment in time. You might be turning around and say, Connor, you're making us, you know, go on a fall, or you're predicting you will go on a fall. We're not. I thoroughly believe that. This is sort of a model that we're going to be taking up to the Premier League as well. As you all know, relentless pressing, trying to cause turnovers and quickly win the ball back, rapid counter-attacks, taking advantage of the turnover immediately, pressing, passing quickly, directly, vertically, overloads. Overloads is so key. And this is my 5th point. This is the 3-3-1-3 formation. Antonio Conte and many other managers have dabbled with 3-4-3. Obviously, we've seen Pep 4-3-3. Nobody else deploys the 3-3-1-3 formation. I think Pep did it against Liverpool in 2018 and he got picked off. Liverpool were completely dominant and they couldn't work the tactical, they couldn't, Pep couldn't get it right. And Bielsa has got it right. He's fine-tuned it. The reason Pep used it is because he was taught that method by Marcelo Bielsa and he tried something different against Liverpool. Now, Antonio Conte, as I've said, has played the 3-4-3. We've seen 4-3-3, but have we ever seen the 3-3-1-3 consistently used in the top division? It's never happened. And this is going to surprise a lot of teams. It's going to surprise a lot of teams. And this is something that I'm really excited to see. And, you know, as you can see in the comments, people turn this in, Leeds are going down, Leeds are going down. Half the people in these comments will never have watched the Marcelo Bielsa team. They'll never watch Leeds United. So this is why I sit here with a smile. You know, it's no disrespect to teams, but when you're getting Smith coming up with Villa, Farke coming up with Norwich, Wilder's an exception because I think he's an exceptional manager, and there's been evidence of that. Marcelo Bielsa, the best coach in the world, coming up with Leeds United with a 16-year absence and financial might behind us. It's just a completely different story. And the 3-3-1-3 is something that I don't know if teams are going to be able to cope with. It's beautiful to watch when a side is managed by the famous Argentinian and fully schooled in his tactical philosophy. Is playing at his top. Plays in front of the back 3, swapping positions between each other, wing backs underlapping and pushing into midfield to make that formidable 6-pronged attack. Total havoc. And that's what I love about this article. Total havoc. And that's what it is. It's relentless. Relentless. Total havoc. On the defending side, as one of its flank gets overloaded, it's very high risk. And we know that. Listen, I'm not coming in here and saying we're not going to get spanked by a couple of teams, because we will. We'll be on the end of a couple of hidings because the quality will just take its toll. Of course it will. But I think when teams say we're getting relegated without even watching Leeds, without even looking at it, without even understanding and respecting Bielsa, I think it's just completely naive and such an easy thing to say. Oh, they've come up, they're going down. Oh, they've not brought so many players in, they're going down. You know, I think it's just such an easy thing to say. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited. Now, another thing I wanted to talk on as well, something a little bit more light-hearted as well. is probably the fact that Marcelo Bielsa, when he was naked. Now, this is something I wanted to talk about as well. I don't know whether or not Bielsa does this after every single game, but apparently with the national team in Chile, there was a 30-minute period afterwards, which Gonzalez was speaking about in the media, the Chilean media. I believe this is it. No, that isn't it. But yeah, apparently there was a period with Bielsa where he'd actually get naked after games for 30 minutes. Now, make of that what you will. I feel we'd have heard that at Leeds United, obviously, by now, but we haven't. And I just thought it was a really funny point. Is he going to continue that in the Premier League? Is that something that happens at Leeds? Apparently just sits there naked after the games. I don't know if that is a thing, but I thought that was really, really funny in terms of like, yeah, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? But Bielsa, there's a reason he's called El Loco. There's a reason that's the phrase that is coined with regards to him. But yeah, we'll have to just wait and see with that one whether or not that continues. But as well, sort of the what I love. This is another point I wanted to touch on is the sort of muted celebrations, and Leeds throughout the season we're talking about these muted celebrations and how Bielsa never really gives that sort of signal that he's absolutely over the moon, that he's excited, that he's obviously we've seen a couple of times when he's been upset. But I think Swansea was one of the first times, Swansea away, when for me we won it. That's the first time you've seen like an outpouring of emotion. And that's what I really love to see with Bielsa. But with regards to the muted celebrations, that was always coined throughout the season and all this sort of stuff. And it is one of those interesting things where we see even more emotion in the Premier League. Obviously, we're his longest serving club now. We clearly hold a special place in his heart. And I'd love to see more from Bielsa in terms of that. And we've seen, obviously, here, when he won the league, look how beautiful scenes there. Obviously, Leeds in the right-hand corner there. And we saw him in the bottom hand corner there, and that's one of those things that we've got to keep an eye on in terms of, is he going to show these emotions? And as you can see, all the lads are buzzing there. But Bielsa, look, that was the day after, and that's something that is really, really special and something we've not seen from Bielsa. You can see here when everyone sort of congregated outside. This was coronavirus, so his elbow sort of bumping everyone, and you can see just the happiness in his face, and he's absolutely lauded at Ellen Road. And that emotion was a different side to Bielsa. It was something that we really love to see. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that obviously you can tell here, like Viva Bielsa. That is something that as fans we absolutely love to see. And the guy's absolutely changed his club around. He's not only changed Leeds around, he's changed not even changed, just to change the team around. He's changed around the morals, the culture of the club, and and as well his shopping habits. Is this going to develop in the Premier League? Now, we always see Bielsa in Costa Coffee. I'm actually going to Wetherby in the next couple of days, so I don't know whether or not to then go there. I don't know whether or not to go to Costa Coffee and just see whether or not Bielsa's going to be there. Apparently, he's just constantly just sat there with his laptop, and as you can see there, he's got his earphones in, and it'll be a really interesting thing to see. Obviously, you can see him here in Morrison's with his full tracksuit on, which is, it is really nice to see. Of course, it is. It's massively nice to see, and I wonder if his shopping habits will change. Obviously, because there'll be so much more attention on Bielsa, so much more eyes on him. Obviously, television cameras. Is he going to be able to sort of deal with that? I presume he will. He's been at the top of football before, but I just love how he wears his tracksuit everywhere. And it's just great to see. It's great to see. But will that have to change in the Premier League? Quite possibly, because he'll just get absolutely mobbed. Now, the biggest indication we had in the Premier League, against the Premier League side, was against Arsenal earlier on in the season. And this is something that I wanted to touch on as well in terms of how good we were in that Arsenal game. I think we shook a lot of people up, and I think that's what people now I don't think they will actually. I was going to say maybe they'll expect from Leeds, but I still think there's going to be an ignorance towards Leeds, and I think that's going to be the beauty of it, because we're going to surprise a couple of teams, a fair few teams for me. As I've said in numerous videos, I think the bottom half of the Premier League is probably they'd have two very close games against the top half of the Championship. I don't think there's much difference between them. And I think the top six are different kettle of fish. I think catching them is going to be ridiculous. And then obviously you've got the bracket of Wolverhampton Wanderers, Everton, etc., Tottenham. Well, maybe Tottenham top six. But when we played Arsenal, we were dominant in that first half. That first 50, 55 minutes. Obviously, they got the goal in the second half. They came out a little bit of a different team, but we had kids out. We had Melier in his first game, Robbie Gotts, and we completely changed the team. And Leeds were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Arteta was stunned. And you could tell on the side, he was very, very anxious about coming up against Bielsa. And it was one of those things where when we were just sat there and watching it, we're actually really proud. I thought, this potentially could be an absolute mullering, but we're all over them. And they couldn't cope with us that first half. Obviously, you can see we had Harrison chances. Bamford had a couple where he hit the bar. And they couldn't touch the ball, Arsenal. And it was a real futuristic look for Leeds. When we get into the Premier League, is this going to be how we take teams apart? Is this going to be the way that Leeds play? Is it going to be, something that opposition managers are really going to have to sit and focus on for a week? How do we play against Leeds United? What do we do? Arteta was coined the phrase saying, he turned around and actually said, playing against Bielsa and playing against Leeds that night was actually like going to the dentist. It was just that difficult. He didn't want to, you could tell, like, he didn't, I think it was one of his first games in charge, actually, Arteta. And as you can see there, very, very happy. It's an FA Cup game against a second division side. But it looks like Louise is sort of telling off a few players there, as you can see. But, Dallas just in behind there, walking off the pitch, but utterly disappointed. And these are just some stats from the game. As you can see, look at the ratings at Leeds. Obviously Arsenal's ratings were completely boosted by that second half performance where, you look at some of those players in that team there. Lacazette, Nelson came on, got the goal. Ozil, Nicola Pepe, Xhaka, Guendouzi, Kolasinac, Louise, Holding, Socrates, Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez, look at that, man of the match. So he was brilliant that game. I remember, and that's sort of where a lot of Leeds fans are talking about Martinez. We remember him from that Leeds game, and Leeds were just utterly dominant. Like, you look at the bench, obviously Kiko was starting for us at that point. Obviously Liam Cooper on the bench, our captain, Stuart Dallas, who was brought on, Helder Costa. We had a lot of players missing from that game. Barry Douglas, who wasn't featuring regularly, Berardi, who wasn't featuring regularly, Melier, who came on, Gotts, who wasn't featuring regularly, Alioski on left-hand side. There was 6, 7 changes to that Leeds side. And we played them off the park, and we're so unlucky. So unlucky in that game. And if that is what is to come, I'm exceedingly happy. That's against the team who's top 4, 5, 6 in the Premier League. Arsenal, a very good team, very good club. Leeds can go against a Palace or a Southampton or a Leicester or a Wolves or an Everton or a Newcastle and play like that, we're going to shock a fair few teams for me. We're really going to shock a fair few teams. And it's one of those where we as GJP says, Arsenal looked that way. They really did. Jota, hey guys, cheers from Argentina. There you go, my friend. I've got some wine just for Bielsa. Beautiful. And I think we were just Oliver Emmett, really interesting there. We weren't unlucky versus Arsenal. We couldn't score. I mean, I'd say that was massively harsh, Oliver, if I'm being brutally honest with you, mate. 6 changes, a lot of youth and players who weren't featuring regularly in that Leeds United side, and score up against a very, very strong Arsenal team. And for them in that first half to barely touch the ball, Leeds registering so many shots. Patrick Bamford been very unlucky where he hit the bar. Harrison going close. Costa wasn't playing. But Alioski was on the end of a header as well. We peppered their first half. I spoke to Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, and he actually turned around and said, we were lucky. We were lucky in that game to get away with it. So that's something where I was, I think Leeds were the second half. I think Arsenal came. But that's something we'll adjust to. I'd be interested to see if we had a full team out against Arsenal, how we'd have fared in that game. But yeah, we'll have to just wait and see. The sort of fifth point I wanted to touch on was the fact that we are one of England's biggest clubs. And that obviously brings with it a pressure. But I think there was an insurmountable pressure in terms of the 16 years we had in the lower divisions. There's a lot of anxiety. And there is no doubt Leeds should be in the Premier League, just in terms of, the stature of the club, our history, all these things encompassed. You don't have an entitled right to be in the Premier League. I completely agree with opposition fans there. You don't have an entitled right to be there at all. But I feel we've earned it now. We've earned our badges. There's not many teams who are in the second tier, in the third tier for 16 years of a club the size of Leeds. We've been in the Champions League semi-finals, still more recently than Manchester City. And it's one of those things where we are a big club. We've got a huge fan base everywhere. Celebrations in Leeds after that wonderful night where Huddersfield beat West Bromwich Albion. Celebrations in Leeds. I was there. It's brilliant. The city is absolutely on fire at the minute. Away crowds, Wembley crowds, Millennium Stadium crowds, crowds away on Tuesday nights in cold, horrible places where I've been myself. And obviously just the home support. I mean, Angus Kinnear was coming out and today he thinks that Leeds could sell out 55,000. He said on the Extra Ball podcast, he thinks that's, something that they're going to be developing on the stadiums from 21, 22, 23. So the East Stand is going to be matched by the West Stand, and Leeds potentially could have a 55,000. I mean, there's so many people who message me for tickets when I don't have them. I don't know how to get them. I'd love to get them myself. But yeah, it's just a one club city, and it's absolutely massive that Leeds stay in the Premier League. And as Dale J says there, made for Bielsa style. Johnny's saying 5th highest attendance or something like that. We're a huge club. Opposition clubs absolutely cannot stand it, and that's what we absolutely love about it. And as you can say, there's so many people, as Mark Owen says, everyone hates us and we love it. That's why people are coming in on the live chat, and they've got nothing better to do with the nights apart from come on a little Leeds United chat and just slate us. So it's brilliant. As Matt says, the East Stand getting rebuilt, we will sell out, and we will. 100%. The waiting list is going to be ridiculous. I think Angus Kinnear said the waiting list was on the same trajectory as Arsenal's in terms of people waiting. So that's something definitely to look at. Very, very exciting. And obviously, we touched on it a bit earlier on as well when we were talking about Ferguson and we were talking about the respect for Bielsa, but how he's lauded as the best coach in the world. We'll talk about Pep Guardiola in a second, but Pep actually came out in an interview and said people are always talking about titles won, but that isn't what football's about. Football is about the philosophies, how you get there. And people will talk about Marcelo Bielsa in thousands of years' time, hundreds of years' time, thousands maybe a bit far forward. But people will talk about Bielsa in 100 years' time, said Pep. And I think that's really telling, because people can win all the trophies they want. But if someone's putting a philosophy in place, a strategy, and it's used in 50, 60 years from now, that was the Bielsa tactic. How he did his things, how he made average players into very good players, how he took teams by storm, how revolutionary he was, how many people he influenced, how many cultures he changed at clubs. And Pep was just saying how this is more important than winning a cup, winning a trophy. It's way more important. And I just found that really interesting. Pep Guardiola credited Bielsa and his tactical inspiration and called him the best manager in the world in 2012. George Sampaoli, former Argentinian manager, Seville and Chile, has been described as a disciple of Bielsa, as has Simeone, as has Pep in himself. Fernando Llorente, at first he seems tough and he may even annoy you with his persistence, which is something that was spoken about when we're talking about Michy Batshuayi, because Batshuayi was talking about how tough it was. And he may even annoy you with his persistence and not take no for an answer, resilience, but he's a genius. Javi Martinez, there are days when he doesn't leave the training ground until the small hours. It is insane. Pep Guardiola, my admiration for Bielsa is huge because he makes the players much better. And that's what I was talking about before in terms of coaches being able to do that. I don't think there's many coaches who can do that. There's not many coaches who can manage anymore. Who can manage, you look at Fergie, Clough, Don Revie, of course, manage and develop players. There's not many around anymore. They need massive checkbooks. And of course, that's because of the market, the economic market right now. But there's not many youth players who get a chance. Obviously, everyone talks about the Chelsea youth for the past 10, 15 years, not getting a chance, having to leave Chelsea to go to other places to develop. Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku, etc. But Bielsa will do that. They're grateful about his influence on their careers. Helped a lot with advice. Whenever I speak with him, I always feel like he wants to help me. He's the best coach in the world. Maurizio Pochettino, he's like my football father. We have a generation of coaches that are his disciples. How he feels the football, the passion he has for football, I think we all took that from him. Johan Cruyff, Marcelo Bielsa's Chile played the most attractive football in this World Cup in 2010, and that is a massive, massive compliment. There were some good teams in that 2010 World Cup. You look at Germany, that new German team who were brilliant, beat England. Ozil, Muller, Podolski, Neuer, Hummels, all coming onto the scene, and just that's so interesting. And our top man, and we talk about a philosopher and a man of the football and a man of people who will know for years to come. Johan Cruyff, wow, what a compliment. Diego Simeone, I have the influence of several coaches: Bielsa, Eriksson, Basile. They've all left a mark, but Bielsa taught me the most. Benjamin Mendy, he made me devour videos like never before. To begin with, he put me in front of videos and I'd fall asleep, but he was happy. I was shocked. After a while, I stopped sleeping and told myself to go on. I watched 2 minutes of this thing after all. After all he taught me, I talked to him and we'd go out, go over moves together. He told me, see, this is why I let you sleep. You slept. But the day you decided to watch, you got your interested on your own. If I'd pushed you to watch, you wouldn't have been interested. Marcelo is just too good. Alexis Sanchez, I learned a lot from him, and it's because of that is who I am today. What I remember most about Bielsa was the mentality that he tries to have. Diego Maradona. For me, what Bielsa has done is worthier than what Simeone has. Marcelo made a team out of nothing. And it's sort of what I wanted to finish on, guys. And this has gone on for a bit, but this is what I want to do every single night if I can, just talk about certain topics. And I think that's something that we need to sort of always focus on in terms of the fact that we look at the future, we look at signings, and I've said it before, but we have to trust in Bielsa. We've always trusted in Bielsa, and look at where we are now. We're back. And there is no way that we have a sort of a stable ride in this Premier League. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and I can't wait for it. Genuinely can't wait for it. And improving players is the hallmark of every great manager. And I think Bielsa is the hallmark of nearly every great manager. So I think that's where to end on, guys. I think it's been a really interesting one. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been very different. It's been a bit of a talk. It's been something that I've really enjoyed doing. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. There's been a lot of you that are, tuned in. I think there was about 560 at one point, which is amazing. If you wouldn't mind slapping a like on the video, that'd be great. If you are new to the In Full Swing with Conor McGilligan YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Get your comments in the section below as well, because after the video is processed, I always go down and read what everyone says. The Patreon account as well, if you want to help out the channel, is down below in the description below. I'm going to be doing Q&As on there, other live streams. And I hope you've really enjoyed it. The work's going in for you guys. And I'll catch you tomorrow bright and early for the Room Mill. I'll see you in a bit, guys.